A great man doesn't seek to lead, he's called to it. I love this quote. This quote comes from the movie Dune that just came out this past year. And I love all of the wisdom that's wrapped up in this, because this is a way that I've looked at leadership for the majority of my adult life. It's something that was always really uncomfortable for me to accept. And I think before I even knew it, it was all about the weight of the responsibility, what it means to actually be a leader. And so often we look around at people who are in leadership positions that have leadership responsibilities, and there's so much ego tied to being a leader, to being seen as the one who's out in front, to receiving the credit when things go really well. And that's has nothing to do with what leadership, true, authentic leadership, is actually about. You see, those of us who are called into leadership, we do so knowing that there's a great responsibility tied to it. Some of the most admirable leaders that I've seen were reluctant ones who didn't want the spotlight, who didn't want all of the things that went along with leadership, attention, controversy, responsibility, but they saw that they were the ones who needed to fill that role. And to me, that's what leadership truly is. It's hearing that calling. It's, in spite of all of my resistance that I might have, stepping forward anyway because I know that I'm the right person for the job. And there's this need for significance that so many of us have. It's on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the need to feel significant, to feel seen, to feel valued by our communities. That's very real. But when that need for significance rises above our natural calling to leadership, and our need for significance becomes more important than actually serving the needs of the people, then leadership is immediately compromised. Look around. This day and age, you can look into politics, you can look into corporations, you can look into leadership at every single level of human society, and you can tell when there's somebody who's genuinely leading from a place of service, who, of course, is wrapped up in controversy and prestige and accolades and all the things that go along with it, but you can sense that there's a deeper sense of service that's leading that person into leadership. It's not about how they're received. It's not about how important they become or what type of opportunities their leadership opens up for them personally. It's about genuinely serving the community, genuinely serving the people who are calling that person into leadership. And another quote from the book Dune, from one of the characters named Stilgar, says that the leader is revealed when by the needs of the people. So the requirements of the community, what society at large needs, is what calls the leader forward. It's not what I desire as an individual. It's not what I want. There's a calling, there's a need that the people, the community, the family has that evokes leadership in humans. And when we lead from those places and we keep our attention and concentration on service, pure service, then we get the best of what leadership is actually all about. And it's really tricky. It's really tricky because that ego that's responsible for self-preservation and survival can come online and attach itself to the significance and the accolades and the pride and all of the acknowledgement that goes along with being in a position of power. And, going back to another quote that I love from Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. The same is true in leadership. With leadership comes great responsibility not to make leading people about what I can get out of it for myself, but genuinely about what are the needs of the people. How am I being called into leadership? There's a difference between seeking leadership, between seeking significance and acknowledgement and fulfilling a need that the people had. So I trust people who can see that need, can recognize that it's there, can see the opportunity to step in and lead, but have resistance to it because they know what that responsibility means. You know what it means to pick that staff up and to lead the people in this direction. And also aware that the ego can be fully engaged in that process. But to acknowledge that, to have that level of awareness, and then to move forward anyway, because you're making it about the people, about the community that you're in service to, man, that's the best of the best when it comes to leadership. So if you're being called to lead, if you're not seeking out these opportunities, but they just seem to be finding you, and you start to get nervous about your ego getting attached to significance and acknowledgement and prestige that goes along with that leadership opportunity, good for you. Good for you for having that level of awareness. And now, of course, your work becomes making the service more important than the significance. Are you capable of doing that? Do you know how to do that? Do you need support in doing that? Well, that's where having a community like the Rising Man family is really valuable. So I invite you to step in. I invite you to get support in your leadership. If you're constantly being called into these opportunities and you're not quite sure how to navigate that ego space, then come check us out, because that's what we're here to do, supporting the initiation of purpose-driven leaders on this planet. So if this message hit close to home and you could use some support in your leadership, make sure you reach out to us. And if you know another leader out there who needs to hear this message, maybe they've already heard it once, but they need to hear it again, then make sure you share it up with them today. And I'll see you on the next episode.